How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. I hope everybody's doing well, and I appreciate everybody that takes time to watch my videos. Most of you know that a lot of the colleges here in the United States are liberal cesspools, and teaching these classes are liberal professors who spew a lot of nonsense in class. And these kids believe everything that they are told, just so they can get some type of a nonsense degree that once they graduate, they won't be able to find a job. Let's say, for instance, getting a degree in gender studies. But also what makes it even worse is when a liberal professor goes overboard. And here's one case I'm going to tell you about. A professor from the University of Pennsylvania, who was what they call a climate professor. Yep, you heard me right, a climate professor, suggested in a post on social media that the Second Amendment should be used against the President of the United States, Donald Trump. This happened on May 22nd, and this so-called professor, his name is Michael Mann, and he posted on a social media site called Bluesky, which I've never heard of before. And this so-called professor was pissed off about what's going on with the Department of Education, and he was saying that the president needs to comply with a judge's order about terminating the jobs of about 1,300 Department of Education employees, and to reinstate those that have been terminated. And this is what that so-called professor wrote on Bluesky. If Trump doesn't comply, we're in Second Amendment territory. There's only one way to take this, that he wants somebody to take out the President of the United States. It's just like when James Comey posted that picture on the beach of seashells where it says 8647. We all know what that means. And so doesn't Comey. And so does this freaking idiot so-called professor. Just imagine how much of a shitstorm it would have caused when Biden was president, that somebody said the same thing on social media, or Barack Obama. The Democrats would have totally lost their shit. I could have said lost their minds, but they did that a long time ago. And of course, this professor's post was reported to authorities, and then sometime later, the post was deleted. Here's what the libs of TikTok wrote on X. Hi at FBI, this climate scientist and professor at Penn appears to be calling to kill Trump and Trump officials. And like I said earlier, he cowardly deleted his post. And they tried to pull the old Jim Comey, trying to explain it away that he didn't mean it that way. Well, of course he did. And people claiming this is not a threat against Donald Trump are just completely infected with the liberal pathogen, which makes people think in liberal logic. The Second Amendment was meant for people to be prepared with arms, and if necessary, replace a tyrannical government. And that's exactly what this so-called climate professor was calling for. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's clear as day. The University of Pennsylvania should fire this guy right away. And since it's been almost a week since this so-called professor called for the unaliving of President Trump, I would hope that the Secret Service had already knocked on his door. And if they haven't, what the hell are they waiting for? And isn't it amazing how the so-called tolerant left, when they get pissed off or they don't get their way, and especially if their candidate doesn't win the presidential election, they resort to violence. And this is not the first time this guy has posted something online that is absolutely ridiculous. Recently, when the Department of Education's new DEI reporting portal, which encourages the reporting of unfair DEI practices in classes K through 12. The so-called professor wrote, "You're a Nazi." He also wrote, "I believe Hitler had a program just like this." So basically, this so-called professor at the University of Pennsylvania is a soy boy, and him posting on social media and then deleting a comment that says, if Trump doesn't comply, we're in Second Amendment territory. There's no doubt about what he's calling for, and that's the elimination of President Donald Trump. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What should be done to this guy? Or do you think anything should be done to him? And also, if you guys appreciate videos like this, and you also want to help the channel out and help it to continue to grow, I just ask you to take a few seconds of your time to like, share, and subscribe, and hit those post notifications, and I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.